and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Okupe Yusuf. On Saturday, the 29th of October, the Labour Party, a party fast rising as a third force of sorts for the Nigeria presidential elections, kicked off its presidential campaigns in close-by Lafia, Nasarawa State, north-central Nigeria. Before now, several independent marches had been organized by supporters of the Labour Party candidate who call themselves the Obedients. The party says it wants to do things differently from other parties. But is this an experiment our political system is ripe for? My guest tonight is no novice in politics. Before now, known as an attack lion in the People's Democratic Party, having served two of Nigeria's presidents in the publicity circle, Dr. Okupe is now an avid supporter of the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, and the Director General of its Presidential Campaign Council. Dr. Okupe, it's been such a walk. Welcome to Hard Copy.
I am so pleased, to be here. I haven't seen you, I don't know.
In ages, I imagine. I know it has been quite a while.
Glory be to God.
Well, I was quite surprised when I heard you were back firmly in the terrain of politics. And I was wondering to myself, can the leopard ever change its spots?
No, very likely.
Because I remember that, just after COVID, you were saying, just when you survived COVID, I don't think I want to do this anymore. Something along those lines.
Yeah. I had actually also retired home to Peru, and I was enjoying my peaceful life and playing very mild local politics, really, just to keep abreast of developments. And then this presidential thing came up, and I declared to support Peter Obi. And I don't believe what I mean.
You don't believe where you are. But before that time, you had actually wanted to run yourself.
Yes, I wanted to. As I said, before these presidential things came in,
yeah.
I was angered by the developments in the nation, especially this banditry, closing over 700 schools in the country. It was as if nobody was in charge and nobody can actually bring things under control. I've been very close in government and in power circles, and I know that it is not true. So I made a statement that if over the next 3-4 months it doesn't appear as if this is going to abate, then I am going to run for president.
Well,
so when it did not abate, I then made the declaration. That's why I ran into this problem. Then decided I was going to run, and I declared to run. But somewhere along the line, I felt when I looked at the whole thing properly again, I felt it was unjust, not to deprive an Easterner or the eastern part of Nigeria the opportunity to have a shot at the presidency. And therefore, in consultation with, elders in Yoruba land, some elders in Yoruba land, including, Chief Obasanjo, Babadi Banjo, and a host of others, I'd said that, look, I will drop my ambition and I will support an Eastern candidate. And the best of them all was Peter Obi, who I even consider, was much, much better and will do better than I could ever have done as a president. So I supported him. Interesting,
because at that point you also said that was the stance of Afenifere, that, it was also the stance that, they were in support of justice, fairness and equity
Correct.
At the time. But just the events of a few days ago now, people are beginning to wonder what precisely is going on, because we saw the same organization endorse the presidential ambitions of the APC presidential candidate. I think you have tweeted in that as a response.
I did this morning.
Yes, you did. You said Yorubas must neither divide nor be ridiculed on the basis of political differences. The Afenifere, an age-long social-cultural group of the Yoruba who hitherto had shown outstanding character, consistency, and integrity, should not be brought into disrepute. You also had
Yoruba saying be away, meaning that, when issues arise, whether it is for play or it's for whatever, an elder confronts a difficult situation with a lot of maturity, not like younger people. Okay. I'm talking that way to our elders, really. You understand? Giving the impression that there's a dichotomy or a split in the Yoruba land. The conscience of the people can never, ever split. The the attitude and interest of people may change. But, we Yorubas, we have a conscience. It came, right from, our source. It was propagated by Obafemi Awolowo, and we have imbibed it. We stand for truth. We stand for justice. We stand for equity. Awolowo, in his lifetime, you will recall, he fought for the minority rights in this country. He put minorities together, Joseph Taka, the people of Calabar, etc., etc. That is what we are.
Yeah, but
we don't promote only self-interest.
Yes,
we promote national interest.
Fashoranti says he wasn't consulted. That's what he claims, and he insists. I mean, he stands by the endorsements which he has given to the APC presidential candidate. According to him, he said the candidate had called him sometime in April, and he had said, go and get your party's presidential ticket first. So it did look like there was some, it was not clear at that particular point in time if they were going to do that, and if, the utterances of Pa Adebanjo, had the general buy-in. Because with Pa Fashoranti, there were also some prominent Yoruba elders who were also by his side when he gave those blessings to the APC presidential candidate. What are your fears coming from the southwest of the country and also having anchored your own presidential, or let me say rested your presidential ambitions on the stance of Afenifere?
Mark, what we're seeing, you see, in life, the only thing that is permanent is change. And God has a way of effecting change. What you're seeing is a transformative stage of Afenifere. What appears today to be a dispute will be a watershed in the life of Afenifere. Watch my lips. This is not going to create a major schism in Yoruba land. The Yorubas have, an inelastic capacity to solve issues. We have various levels of consultations, but I'm telling you that we are passing. I'm glad that this has happened. All right, it's going to put to test our tensile strength once again, as a race. But we're going to get out of this. I imagine. I mean, I support Afenifere 100%, but I'm not going to say because I am supporting Peter Obi and then Yorubas must split. No, we can follow. I'm a Christian. You can follow the examples of Christ when he ran into this type of situation. His disciples said, oh, some people are eating food that has been sacrificed to the gods. It is not right since we are Christians. So what did Jesus say? He said, if you don't feel offended by eating the food, eat it. If you feel offended by eating the food, don't eat it. But do not let your differences cause a division amongst you. This is my plea for Yoruba people.
I think I would have been St. Paul, not Jesus, but...
No.
Let's move on now.
No.
Okay. I'm not going to argue right here on the program, but let us look at...
You may be right, but I will check it. I'll get back to you.
Not a problem. Let's look at, your party eventually decided to kickstart its campaigns. They started on Saturday after it had postponed it in honor of those who were affected by the floods that had...
Yes.
Taken over significant parts of the country. And I do not know what you made of the turnout on that day and how you rated the success of, the kickoff of the campaigns. Were you satisfied as Director General?
I'll be forthright with you. I will be forthright with you. We were not completely satisfied with the turnout, but there was a reason why it was like that. One, even on the eve of the campaign, we were still considering whether to put it off or not because of the high security alert and all those things. People were worried. I had text messages coming to me that, Doyin, can you take this on your conscience? If anything happens, will you be? Do you understand? We have to be brave about it. And I went by road, I rode in a bulletproof car. I've never done that before. Do you understand? You know, we went with about 3 loads of policemen and all that. That's one. Number 2, Nasarawa turned out to be, I mean, I didn't want to say this proud, but for this question, because, you know, it's a game, no problem. Politics is a game, and I'm the last person that should complain if somebody serves me a good shot. You know, in Nasarawa, we were served by the ruling party or ruling government a good shot. You will not believe it that we did not get the final permit for the landing of the helicopters of our principals until the morning, that Saturday morning, you know, of the rally. That's one. Number 2, the venues, I sent 22-member, you know, advance team. But for 48 hours, they could not do anything because we could not even get permit among the 3 or 4 various venues we have chosen. You know, the government was not available to give us permit. But for the intervention of some very high-level royal people, you know, in Lafia, that rally would not have held. Then the master blow that they dealt us with was in Nasarawa. For the past 7 or 8 years, nobody has ever heard of environmental sanitation. But government from nowhere on Thursday declared that Saturday an environmental sanitation day, declared a curfew the night before on Friday. I hope you understand. And that nobody can move until 10 a.m. on Saturday. So it was impossible. The people you saw there were the people we managed and struggled, you know, and our support groups, you know, brought together from Lafia and environment alone. 90% of our supporters all over the state could not get access. They could not even come, you know, because, I mean, some people are living 3 hours away, some 2 hours away, you know, they will not be able to leave their places until 10. And on Friday, they were not, you know, they could not go out in the evening. So all those things happened, but we give glory to God. It's a beginning. It's okay. We're fine.
Somehow, you know, you're alleging that the All Progressives Congress. I'm
not alleging. I'm making a statement of fact.
I know. I mean,
no. You can check it. No, you can check it. There were, you know, they actually announced an environmental sanitation that Saturday. That has not happened for 7 years in Nasarawa. Never.
Okay, so what you're saying is that there was an unlevel playing field already created.
There was not just unlevel playing field, unlevel hostile playing field. It was unlevel, it was slippery, and it was hostile.
Do you see this happening in many other states?
No, it will happen. I mean, there are states where we cannot put posters. We cannot pay for signage. We can, you know, there are, you know,
You're already beginning to experience that.
Of course, that's a fact. I don't want to talk, you know, on the set here, you know,
Why
by
not?
mentioning names. No, but because we may eventually resolve them. I'm a mature person, you know, because we will go behind and say, look, gentlemen, we can't do this to ourselves. But it's happening, as I'm telling you. Even you know, I got a report last week that some of our ward meetings, you know, are being, people are being chased away and prevented from holding ward meetings in some states. So, but, you know, we're not going to complain. We're going to find a way to do it. We are coming with a revolution. We are coming with a movement. We are coming with a tsunami that nobody has seen in Nigeria before. All these petty shenanigans cannot stop us. You can't stop, you know, a movement. You can't stop, you know, something that its time has come. An obedient movement, an obedient presidency is an, you know, inevitable eventuality that Nigeria must come to terms with. You can't stop it.
Do you think that there will be what happened on Saturday? Do you think it has the potential to dampen the spirits of your supporters?
No, because they are aware of what has happened. They know what we are and what we are capable of doing.
Are they really aware? Because we spoke to a number of them after that event.
They were not immediately aware.
Yeah, a number of them said, oh, it's because we refused to buy supporters. That's why people did not show up.
No, it's not true. It's not true. We didn't buy supporters for a fact. And I want to give kudos to those support groups who on Friday night, you know, haven't seen the problem of mobilization, went all over the place to get their people to come out on Saturday. And, you know, especially those the members of the party, and the local organizing committee members, and our own people. It was, let me tell you, Marco, it was a nightmare. I was here in Abuja, and by Friday, 3 p.m., there has not been a certificate or an approval of a venue, Marco, on Friday. I was sweating here.
Mm. Do you think that, because a number of governors now have announced that they will not be allowing political parties use schools as part of the venues for political campaigns?
Yeah, okay, fine. But
do you think that is... yeah.
And, you can't use schools, you can't use stadium, you can't use other, local government facilities. Excuse me, what do you use? It's not that politics has just come to Nigeria yesterday. We have been in this game for long. And there are even traditional places that people normally, like Makpo Hall, for instance. All of a sudden, if the governor of your state that nobody can campaign in Makpo Hall, it's unthinkable. Mm. We must learn to tolerate one another and recognize our differences, but in spite of it all, allow democracy to thrive.
Mm. In fairness, to the very first question which we asked earlier about Afenifere and, this issue of, rotation and, rotating the presidency amongst the different geopolitical zones. In fairness to your candidate, he continues to insist that, ethnicity should not be the basis upon which people consider him. He believes that it should be strictly by merit. Do you think that we're really at a place where we can shun sentiments such as rotation and ethnicity in our politics?
Unfortunately, no. Mark, I will not lie to you. I have talked to my peers, people that I went to school with, people, giants of industry, who are Yoruba people. And they tell me, you're the only one who can do what you're doing. As for me, I don't care. Bola Tinubu could be anything, but I'm going to back him all the way because he's a Yoruba man. Fair and square. They tell me that. It's not based on competence, it's not based on integrity, it's not based on anything. But, and we're not fighting. They tell me openly that, this is what we are going to do. Do you understand? And they are rational people, very intelligent people, very successful people. They're not taking, some of them, they will not even pass the front gate of Bola Tinubu. But they're saying, he's a Yoruba man, I am going to back him all the way. Let me tell you, on this set, whether you like it or not, I know that people are going to vilify me for this, but I will always say the truth. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria, in recent history of Nigeria, that a presidential candidate will come from Igbo land, a presidential candidate will come from Yoruba land, a presidential candidate will come from the north, Northern Fulani, excuse me, and you think ethnicity will not play a role in this thing? He must be kidding me. This election, we're praying for the opposite. For Labour Party, we are selling a candidate that is beyond ethnicity, is beyond religion, is beyond any parochial consideration. Put it down anyhow you like it. But Peter Obi towers far, far ahead. Is it education? Is it educational background, qualification, experience, knowledge, personal integrity? The issue about this, I was showing you some draft of our manifesto just outside there. Mm-hmm. All right? Like Peter Obi says, manifestos don't mean much. The current administration had a manifesto. Number one on their manifesto was restructuring. 8 years down the line, has anybody done anything about restructuring? No. So manifestos, or this 2023 election, if Nigerians want to do right for themselves, it has to be who among these people can you trust? Who among these people does his or her background, make you to feel that you can trust him? Mm. It's going to be based on trust, on character, on integrity. It's not on words of mouth. It's not on ethnicity. It's not on religion. Bola Tinubu has APC has a Muslim ticket. There was a time here we had MQ Abiola Baba Gana Kingibe, both of them were loved by Nigerians. So, you know, Nigerians have not changed from that time to this time. So it's not a question of Muslim ticket. It's not a question of Igbo person. It's a question of, there are two questions. Who of these three lots or four can do best for this country? Obi. Who can we trust more or most? Obi. Who has integrity in his background? You know, we must be honest. And if we are not honest, we will reap whatever we sow. That's the truth.
You say 3 or 4 candidates. Yeah. Are you discountenancing?
That's what I'm bringing for, because
the other candidates.
You know, I must admit that Rabbi Kwankwaso has established himself fairly well now. He has established himself. He has become. He's not a media survey personality, all right? But I am a professional, and I'm viewing his campaign from a professional eye, and I say that this is a quantum that must be recognized.
But all the other candidates
cannot push Kwankwaso away in this equation.
All the other candidates of, say, Accord Party, a few other parties that have also shown up, you're not exactly bringing them into reckon, are you?
It's not that. It's not that we're not, I don't bring them into reckon. I see potentials in them. As a party, at our own campaign level, we're talking to SDP. We're talking to even Kwankwaso again and his team. We're talking to PRP. We're talking to ADC. We want to bring together. It's not a private enterprise. It's not a personal matter. It is, we're going to bring together, a coalition of political forces, in an arrangement whereby we all can come now. INEC has published the list of candidates. Labour Party is not everywhere. Kwankwaso and the group, they're not everywhere. So we can have an arrangement. We can have information that says that those of us who are in this coalition, we will support any candidates where we don't have a candidate. Do you understand? We're talking. And, I believe and I trust God will help us that between now and December, we will bring together that alignment politically in the country. And the country, will be best for it. So that whoever wins, is not just winning on a solo effort. We're winning with the cooperation of as many groups as possible.
Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Dr. Doyin Okupe, the Director General of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council, is our guest tonight. And we're talking about the advances his party is making on the road to 2023. It's interesting that you've made a reference to your party's manifesto. There was some controversy yesterday, and your party's presidential candidate has said disregard any manifesto, we're still working on it. But he has also said, I don't know, when are we getting the authentic version, the final version? Do you know when?
I can say very, 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 very shortly. Because it is
very
ready.
Shortly?
Very, very shortly. It is ready. And for the fact it is ready, what happened yesterday was that, the manifesto is in the process, was in process of being circulated to some key person in the party and some outside the party, just for them to look at it and pass comments. But as usual, somebody throws it in the media, and every head was let loose. That was what is presently circulating is not the final. These things goes through various stages. It's not the final copy. It's still just another draft. But the final copy will be out very, very shortly, and it's going to be released by the presidential candidate himself.
Well, one of the things that your presidential candidate has said, though, and And for a number of people, they think it's interesting, considering the fact that he's running on the platform of Labour Party. Is that one of the ubiquitous items on our budget almost every year, and people are wondering, what's going to happen to it, is subsidy. He has said in no uncertain terms that he's going to remove subsidy, but he says only if he finds that it will be of more benefits to Nigerians. And some people are saying, what exactly is the conversation happening with the candidate of your party and Labour unions, which also support the Labour Party?
Look, we are in Labour. Our manifesto, when it is finally released, you will see the coloration of Labour in it. But you see, both Labour and us, we are in an emerging society, and we're the country is in a critical situation. No organization in Nigeria will support a national budget of 19 trillion and a subsidy budget of 6 trillion. Excuse me. It's a matter of common sense. That's not acceptable. If there has to be subsidy at all, if there had to be subsidy at all, not to this level, 6 trillion, almost 30% of the national budget, and nobody can readily define, what the subsidy is, what it covers, who it serves. We are told that we do 60, 70 million liters a day, and we're also told that 35 million liters of that goes outside Nigeria. So who are we subsidizing? Nigerian people or West African people? These are issues that we have to decide.
Issues which you are no stranger to, which we've dealt with in previous presidential administrations.
Yes.
And now, you are now having to deal with Labour directly. Do you think they're more amenable?
We and Labour were on the same page on several, not just on subsidy, on several issues. We're on the same page. I can assure you that. Because we talk to them, they talk to us. Everybody, even Labour, Labour is interested in the welfare of the workers and all that. We too are. We want to battle poverty to a standstill. We will reduce poverty in 4 years to the barest minimum possible. And Labour cannot be against that. And if part of the instrument we will use is to cut off subsidy in order to fight poverty, we will fight on the same side with Labour, definitely.
How do you handle the criticisms that even though your party says it wants to do things a bit differently, I mean, it's going to shun money politics, etc., that it's still visited...
You give shishi.
Exactly. Your party does not give shishi. How do you handle the criticism that it's still dealing with the old power brokers? I mean, your candidate has been visiting, former power... Well, I don't want to say former, because they're still considered the power brokers, Baba Isales, if you'd like. That is part of the criticism that has... I'm sure you must have seen it in some places. How do you respond to those people with that sort of criticism?
Dear Okupe, in any society, there are stakeholders, no matter your intention. With the exception of the fact that you are carrying arms and you are shooting everybody, you don't give a damn about who is who. That is bloody revolution. We are not engaged in that. We are in dialogue, we are in consultation, we are presenting ourselves, what we intend to do, the integrity of our candidate, the situation of the country, and where we want to take the country to. We need to talk to stakeholders. You know that in this country, I will tell you, you're a very matured, knowledgeable, reasonable journalist. I've always respected you, you know that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Somebody won an election in this country. He didn't rule. He was loved by Nigerians. Some stakeholders stopped him. We have to avoid that by carrying everybody along. Even if they don't agree with us initially, let them not oppose us. Let them not see us as enemies. We are not enemies of anybody or any group or any part of the country. We are just a set of people who mean well for the country, who is appalled by the life of the youths and their destinies, who want to unleash the creative energies and powers of young people. Our whole energy, our whole hope, our whole trust is on just allowing the young people in this country to move. This morning I was watching television, and I saw German, I think female basketball players or something, dancing to, a Nigerian music. See, that's what our young people are doing. Government and bad governance is holding them down. I have no business with government. I'm not interested. I'm 70. But, you might well say, okay, why don't you, like Chore told me, why don't you just go away and let us do it ourselves? The young people cannot do it themselves alone. But, we have to be, it's like you want to clear a bush. All right? The one you put, the machine you put forward, it's a D8. Then the D6 can come and clear the ground. But D8 will fell the trees. So we are the D8. We are the D8s that can, remove the big trees, while, the smaller machines, then they can come and smoothen it out. All we are about is to take back Nigeria, create a new nation, a new state, let the youngs come and express themselves and attack poverty and do something great about the economy. That's all we are about.
Well, your party has had its own fair share of internal wranglings, and you've had to...
Not serious wranglings.
Yeah, well, you've had to review your presidential campaign list to include more people and also still appeal to people that, just keep doing your work wherever it is that you are. You've had to suspend your national youth leader over some financial malfeasance. I'm just wondering, you have operated in older parties. You know how it works, and, I don't want to say big boys club. But how are you, what advantage do you think being in a new party, a smaller party? I don't want to say smaller. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully, but let me say a newer party, like the Labour Party. What advantage do you think it brings on board, and what disadvantages?
It has a lot of advantages. Mm-hmm. It also has a lot of disadvantages. Mm-hmm. Most of these new parties are not well entrenched nationally. That's why people talk about structure. Do you understand? But we have more than overcompensated for that by the several hundreds of very strong, mobile, agile support groups that we have nationwide. Presently, they are in their thousands.
So you are not worried about structure?
No, we're not. Because, if you're driving a car, all right, and looks old from outside, but you, the driver, know that you have just bought a brand new engine. You have just changed the shaft. You have just done this. People outside say, look at this rickety car. But the man that is driving, that this car is going to get to Colorado and more, that there's no problem. That is the kind of thing we're talking about here. We know what we have inside. We know what we are, systematically installing. We are going to daze the world, not just Nigeria. People are going to be awestruck, when they hear the results of this coming election. Principalities are going to collapse. Institutions, political institutions are just going to go into demise.
And this is not the politician in you just coming out. I mean, as they say, politicians are perpetually optimistic.
I'm not talking about optimism. Mark, you have seen it. We're leading. This is a party that is just barely 4 months old. And today is being considered along 2 major parties that have existed for 20 years. In actual fact, they are playing catch-up. Does that not surprise you? We started 1 million march, 2 million march, and all that. After about 8 weeks, now, one of them also started march. We did this, they're not doing it. Do you understand? Okay? So, in 4 months, we have risen from ground zero. And, I wanted to correct you during your introduction when you said we're creating a third force. Well, that's how we started. We have left third force. We are presently, without, being too immodest, if you put the 2 parties together, we are at par. There's no, we are in the first bracket now. I will not accept even the second force. We are on the same level, if not higher, with APC and PDP together. And by December, we're going to torpedo them.
That's a third force.
Yeah?
That's a third force. That's a third option.
No, we're going to move from the third force to the first force. Then APC and PDP will decide who is second and third force. That's what's going to happen.
Dr. Okupe, thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you very much. I hope you give me a chance to come again.
Well, we certainly hope to. That's our program tonight, but we want to hear from you. Please speak with us using the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Okupe. Good night.